I am a somatic leader, and what that means is I am all about the body first and foremost. The body has an intelligence, it has a hidden language that once we learn how to uncover what it's saying for us, life can get really good. As you say, we can truly spiral up. We can understand what's happening in our bodies in real time and really discern between our fear, our ego, our intuition, and be able to make valid choices for ourselves that move us forward in our life and career. I primarily work with entrepreneurs, so this helps you to just make better decisions for yourself, show up more in your life and in your business.
Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. LaChelle Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. LaChelle Wieme. And you guys, oh my goodness, I have been waiting patiently for this conversation since I first met Brianna. You guys, she and I are, it's kind of wild actually how aligned we are. So I think that it's just going to be a really fun perspective and new take and twist on the things that you guys learned from me. And I love the fact that we get a chance to hear from you today, Brianna Rose. Like, thank you. Thank you for being here. You guys, she is a somatic leader. She embodies everything that we talk about here in Spiral Up. And I am just so glad that you're here.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here as well. Thank you so much for having me.
So, girlfriend, I always think that it's so much more fun to hear from you guys as far as like what you're doing in the world, how you're showing up, who you're helping versus me reading from a boring bio. So, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about you and how you show up in the world?
Yes, definitely. Thank you. So I am a somatic leader. And what that means is I am all about the body first and foremost. The body has an intelligence, it has a hidden language that once we learn how to uncover what it's saying for us, life can get really good. As you say, we can truly spiral up. We can understand what's happening in our bodies in real time and really discern between our fear, our ego, our intuition, and be able to make valid choices for ourselves that move us forward in our life and career. I primarily work with entrepreneurs. So this helps you to just make better decisions for yourself, show up more in your life and in your business, and expand your capacity to receive, whether that's more visibility, more money, more clients, all from building the body and then building the strategy around that.
I mean, girl, like you and I both know, right, that you are not able to hold what you're not able to hold in your body, right? Like the capacity to be who you need to be the leader, to say yes, to make the decisions
Yes.
really does start inside, and it's our nervous system and what it's been able to handle. And I just gotta, ask, because I know that my experience has come from the trenches, and I'm curious, like, where has your life taken you to bring you into this embodiment? Give us a little
Yeah.
backstory, would you please?
Yeah, of course, of course. Love the backstory. So, my background is actually in PR and marketing. I am a former girl boss from New York. My whole vibe was like, I can't wait to work 80 hours a week. Like, it's so crazy to think about, but like, that was what I wanted to do with my life and like burn out and stress out. And then I went through a spiritual awakening that totally rocked my world. And it's one of those things when you really go through certain aspects of your life, it's like you learn stuff and you can't unsee what you now know. And for me, that was the body, that was the nervous system, that was emotional regulation. It was my own connection to God and what that meant for me. And once I learned that stuff, I was like, oh, I can no longer see the world the same way. And so that just dramatically impacted how I showed up how I led myself. I left my 9 to 5, became an entrepreneur. And as we were kind of saying before we hit go live on this together, we were just saying like what we teach, we get to master and learn. And so all along the way, I've really been shown and been given opportunities to double down on the stuff that I teach, to really discern and understand what is my body saying, what is fear, what is truth, and how do I show up? How do I lead? How do I continue to lead in a way where I'm not abandoning myself in the process or burning myself out in the process? And through that, I've really learned how to uncover me underneath everything I've been taught who I was and coming into my power that way.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like I use the scripture Romans 12:2 a lot, which is
Mm,
do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds.
mm,
And that we may know a good and perfect will. And I feel like what you just said is really encompasses what I teach as well, is that we all are this beautiful divine being underneath that has
mm,
just forgotten who we are, and it's the patterns of this world that have been placed upon us, like the statue of David being buried in the stone.
mhm.
It's the patterns of this world that bury us, and it's really just discovering and remembering who we've always been underneath there.
Yes.
But girl, like, it's taken me a long time to get there, and I also can
Right.
relate to what you were saying with burnout and the hustle culture in the 24/7, because that's where I was. I mean, if I look back on my career in anesthesia and all of the years that I took for my training and the professional ladder that I climbed to do what I did, what I tell people all the time is that it wasn't until I became an entrepreneur and looked from the outside in that I started to recognize that I was actually burning myself out in order to chase metrics and strategies to prove my worth to myself.
Yes.
Right. And I think that that really ties in well with everything that you teach as well, is that there's subconscious, ability that we have to master underneath that
Mm.
holds the capacity in our nervous system and allows us to become who we are. Tell us a little bit about that burnout phase, that strategy chasing, New Yorker that
Oh,
was you, so that my audience that's still stuck there can say like, oh my gosh, like she sees me.
yes. Yes. Well, I relate to what you just shared. A big part of the burnout was I was chasing. I didn't realize it in the moment, right? Like
Mhm.
hindsight is 2020. I didn't realize in the moment, but I was chasing validation. I was chasing someone saying you did a good job, or like you're going down the right path. And so I thought that I was being energetically aware without realizing I was chasing the next number and the next thing and the next launch. And so I brought that energy into my business and I was just scaling rapidly, which is great. It was such a gift. And I didn't want to complain about it because, like, every entrepreneur wants to be able to scale and make money and do the whole thing. So I was like, let's enjoy this. But it became addictive and it was
Mhm.
never. I was like, once I hit the goal, then I just kept raising the bar. And then I hit
Oh yeah.
the next thing. I was like, can I do it faster? Can I do it bigger? All while like forgetting that I'm a human, forgetting that I need to take care of myself. I was not sleeping, wasn't listening to myself, wanting to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And I remember I had this moment when I had my first 100K cash month.
Mhm.
And I remember I hit it, which is like such a mile marker. It's like
Yes.
seven-figure status. Like it was great. And I remember I felt totally numb. Like I didn't even feel it. I didn't feel excited by it. It just felt like, crossing it off the list. Like now we did 100K cash. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, this doesn't, I'm not even feeling this.
Mhm.
Why am I even doing this in the first place? Like, what am I going to now try to do 200K? Like, why am I doing this? Why
Oh,
am I doing this to
yeah.
myself?
Yeah.
And so I remember like that weekend, I took my first day off in 6 years
Mm.
and my like nervous system shook. Like I remember I didn't even know this terminology yet, but my whole body was just like shaking because I finally stopped. And so that was my opportunity where I was like, I need to discern like, who am I outside of the business? Like, how can I actually love and validate myself without chasing a number or some sort of success metric to say I am worthy and now
Yeah.
I'm worthy because I made money. Like what is that? And how can I develop this self connection to me and validate me first before I go out into the world? And so that took some time, to be honest. I wouldn't say I burned down my business, but I I stopped launching, stopped promoting because I was like, I need to know why I'm even doing this. I don't want to do this just because there's an expectation of me to do this or just because I built a community and built a following and now I'm making money. And so I should just keep launching and doing the things and hitting another
Right.
goalpost. So I shut it down for, for like, there's like a 2-year period where things were just really quiet and I had to do some deeper work, deeper healing, understanding my body and how I was operating. And then also, like, how did I actually want to operate? Like, what did I actually want to do? What was my metric of success outside of the numbers? And so for me, it was like, how good can I feel? How good can I take care of myself? How safe can I feel in my body? And
Right.
through all of that, all of the work that I do now came out of this. This was like 6 or 7 years ago now, but all of the nervous system work came from that. And so I share that because when we hit these like rock bottom moments, or we hit these moments where there's opportunities to heal, we're learning it because we're going to come out of it stronger for sure. But we're
Right.
learning it because it's going to give us some tool, some method, especially if you're an entrepreneur, to then share it with others. Like I wouldn't be doing the work that I'm doing today had I not gone through that.
Yes.
And so there is always like the light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't feel like it sometimes when you're in the midst of it. It feels like
Right.
really dark and murky. It almost feels like your prayers have been cut off. It's like
Mhm.
there's like help and like no one's showing up because you're meant to save yourself. You're meant to
Yes.
trust yourself and heal yourself and work through it. So it is a part of the entrepreneurial process that I like having conversations about because we all go through it. Like it's something we all go through, but like not everyone speaks about. And if you stay
Yes.
in the game long enough, you're going to go through it. The only reason you haven't gone through it yet is you just haven't been in it long enough. Like it's coming. It's
Yes.
great. Like don't be afraid of it. It's coming though. And it will completely like rebirth you and shape your identity and how you show up in the world.
Yes, and I always say that as we spiral up, that we're going to continue to bump up against old bruises, but as we
Yes.
continue to refine ourselves, we're going to recognize it faster, we're going to shift faster, and that's
Yes.
the beauty of it. And there's so much that you said that I just want to unpack very very briefly.
Yeah.
I think that it's very common for ambitious people to continue to set another metric and then another metric and
Yep.
another metric and then never actually like pausing to celebrate.
For
And so
sure.
I got that, into that cycle myself where I was just like, when does it stop?
Hmm.
Right. And
Hmm.
recognizing that there isn't a level that I'm going to be satisfied in because I continue to just push the envelope. And I
For sure.
just before we hit record and I joined you on this call, I actually sent a quick little voicemail to my assistant. And I was like, I just want to celebrate a couple of things that I did today. And they were small, and some of them were like something I was kind of nervous about. And I'm learning to celebrate the action and
Yeah.
pausing and acknowledging my nervous system says, I didn't die. I
Yes.
actually get to celebrate this small win, and it's so crazy because the small wins are sweet and the big wins are sweeter, and all because
Hmm.
I've taken the opportunity to settle into that. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to acknowledge is that, you know, when are you going to be satisfied if you keep
Yeah.
creating new metrics in which you're chasing? And I love
Yeah.
how you also are like, how do I want my life to look? Not just my
Yeah.
bank account, but my life to look. And that brings me to my next thing. One of the things that you mentioned was that you had this $100,000 cash month, and the identity oftentimes is something that we take from outside of us. Like now I'm successful, and other people tell
Yes.
me I'm successful. So we take on this identity. And so if the identity is outside of ourselves,
Yeah.
something that is taken away can shake our identity. So I'm curious
For
if you
sure.
experienced that a little bit with yourself in the sense of this is who I thought I was. And
Mm.
now I'm needing to strip down and not take on the identity of what I do or what
Yeah.
people tell me I am, but
Yeah.
who I am being underneath all of that at the truth at my core. Is that anything that you went through?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yes, 100%. If you even look at older photos of me, I think you all will probably see when the shift happened because I had long blonde, like platinum blonde, like blown out hair with like the big boho hat on. And I love that version of me. I'm not knocking it. Like,
Yeah.
she got me here. Like, I'm so proud of her. She's so awesome. But I think what happens too when we have businesses and we have personal businesses like the ones that we have, there can be enmeshment between like, who am I as a human and who am I as like the CEO and the creator of this brand? And for me, when I got to that point, I didn't know who I was anymore. I was like, wait, why do I want this? Who am I? Why am I showing up? What do I really want to do? Like, am I only doing this because I think my audience wants this? Or am I only doing this because like the business needs me to do this or act this way or show up or dress this way or whatever it might be? And also at that time, and I think it's still there, but there was also a lot of like external messaging of like, once you've made it, you get the Chanel bag or you do this thing or you do this lavish vacation. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. If that's you,
Right.
go for it. But I just felt for me, I was like, but do I want those things? Like,
Mhm.
because I hit this number, now I'm supposed to go spend, 10,000 on a bag or whatever it might be. And I remember
Right.
just feeling very like unsettled in my body and in myself of like, is that noise or is that my truth? And
Yeah.
having to get quiet enough to say, who am I now? Right. Because we all change. Like, who am I now? Why am I doing this? What do I actually want? What is my identity? And I think the beauty of being a human is that we get to shapeshift. We get to shift our identity. We get to grow. We get to evolve. I even just went through another identity change like in the last couple of months. And so it's like we get to continually change and evolve. But that was like a big one for me because I wanted to know who I was outside of this success. And I needed to create this almost like this line in the sand of like, who is Brianna Rose, like the CEO and the creator of this movement and creator of the brand, and like, who is Brianna, who's just like, a
Yeah.
human. And like, who am I? And they're not like they're two totally different people, but I needed to have this like separation of
Mm.
self where my success and my worth as a human was not based on my income or how much money or what I could
Right.
do and some sort of
Yeah.
accolade. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm not in control of that. Like, I can have all of this data on my launches, but at the end of the day, like, we never know how much are they going to bring in, what's going to happen in the economy. Like, we can't control that. So I was like, I'm using the wrong metric because I'm
Right.
not even in control of those things. Like, those things can change. And then what? Because something lowers, now I'm somehow not as worthy or
Yes, because
somehow like
metrics like
lost.
define us, right? And like if
Exactly.
somebody, I had somebody, this happened recently where they had a family emergency and she's like, LaChelle, I cannot continue with with the coaching that I have right now. And
Yeah.
I was able to offer some ways that I could support her because I'm not just going to leave her high and dry.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I had to recognize, right, that this is who she is and it's not
Mhm.
about my numbers, right? But so
Yes.
that stuff happens. And then all of a sudden we could absolutely get our identity wrapped up in I must suck. I must not be
Yes.
worth it. This must not
Yes.
be, whatever.
Create a
And
story. Mhm.
something else that you said too was worth acknowledging here is that I think that when we have this identity that is wrapped up in what we do,
Mhm.
it's really easy to lose ourselves. And I found
Yeah.
myself, many of us, I think probably all of us as entrepreneurs go into this because we want freedom. We want freedom
Yeah.
of creativity, we want freedom of time, we want freedom of finances. And what I found is that I had actually created my own box
Yes.
that
Mhm.
I felt like I had to stay in. And
Yeah.
it's like I created this brand and this image of who people thought I was. And somehow it got, you know, still aligned, but there was this whole other part of me that I wasn't
Right.
incorporated and it felt disingenuous and it felt like I am a very sarcastic, quirky, silly person,
Mm.
but my brand had shifted to this like motivational, inspirational, like boss babe. And
Yeah.
I'm like, but I am that sometimes, but I'm also like really silly over here too.
Yes.
And I felt like I had created a box that I was no longer fitting in, and that
Mm.
identity piece is real, especially when you create a personal brand
Yeah.
around what it is that you do.
For
Um,
sure.
one other thing I wanted to bring up because like all of your comments are like so filled with nuggets. There's this belief that um, success is tied to burnout, which is
Mhm.
what we both acknowledged, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes where we hustle, 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 we get to this place, and people are like, "I just cannot sustain this." So that was my
Mhm.
my situation. Is like I realized like I kept raising the bar, and then I'm
Yes.
like, "I cannot sustain this life. This is not the life I want."
Yeah.
And so I'm like, something needs to change. I need
Mhm.
flow. I need peace. I need joy and fun back in my life.
Yeah.
And then fear sneaks in there and says,
For sure.
you have been successful up until this point because you are a hard worker,
Mm,
because blah, 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 blah. And
for
people
sure.
are so afraid that if I just have the brake a little bit, or I let off the gas so I'm not going 100 miles an hour, that I'm going to lose everything.
Yeah.
And that, you were brave enough to do that. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
no, like it wasn't a tiny little tweak. It was like, I'm
Yeah.
not doing this. Like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I wasn't so cool as you're making me seem to be, where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, no, there was way more like freak outs and panics and like fetal position crying and panicking and thinking that the world is going to end because I'm like, yeah, like that. The stories were so real. But I think because I have been in like the body nervous system world for a while, I could recognize that like as much as it felt so real, I also had wisdom of like this isn't real too, right? It's like this is just like my mind, my body, my ego retaliating and making this big drama about it. I got support, I got help, I got therapy. My husband's phenomenal and we just like were able to have these really open conversations about what's going on, what's real, what do we need to do, how can we support one another. So I think that that's important, is like not hiding in it, is being able to have open communication and express what you're going through. And it was really hard. My ego hated it. My ego hated that I no longer had this like status to stand behind, even though it's like I could stand behind and I did create it. And all of a sudden like go away just because I decided to take a vacation or, take some
Right.
time off. It was still a real thing. But yeah, it was definitely messed with my view of myself. It messed with how I was seeing myself, and I had to have an identity outside of just success. And I had to allow myself to be okay with that, and also check in with myself and say, okay, well, my whole thing was I created it once, stressed out. How good could it be if I could actually feel good during it? Like that was the thing that really kept me in check. Is like, yeah, you created success, but at the risk of what? And what happens? How much bigger could it get if you actually felt good? Because you kind of felt like shit. All those like,
Yes.
you didn't,
Yes.
like let's like I kind of had to do this thing where I call it fact and fiction. Like I had to fact check my ego, and I was like, is this a fictional story that I'm telling myself, or is it actually real? And so that helped a lot. And I think part of it too was I kept allowing myself to be in the phase of I'm surrendering this and I'm going to become anew and I'm going to come out of this even stronger and I'm going to create something really beautiful. And I had to allow myself to it was very humbling because it almost felt like I was starting fresh again, where I was almost a new entrepreneur because I completely changed my entire offer suite. I completely changed my messaging, completely changed my branding. So it felt like I was doing it all over again, totally new. And I had to be okay with the fact that I wasn't going to have maybe a $500,000 launch, that maybe it was going to be $40,000 or $100,000, and like detach from the numbers, but be in the process of I'm seeking joy, I'm seeking excitement, I want to make impact. And who am I today? And let me test this out so I can actually build a foundation where my business can thrive. And now I'm on the other side of it. I'm so grateful I did that, because what I've built now, I'm still growing, I'm still evolving, but the foundation is so
Yeah.
rock solid because I took my time and I wasn't trying to chase and get back to where I once was. I'm
Yes.
more focused on how am I feeling, what feels good, what did I learn from the past? And I think that's a big thing to think about, is I didn't burn it down and be like, I'm not even going to think about this past
Right.
thing. But I was like,
Build.
what can I take from this? What can I
Yes.
build? And a big thing was, yeah, I burnt myself out, but I also burnt myself out because I didn't hire a team. I was like, I'm going to do it all. I'm a lone wolf. Like I'm going to have this $1 million business and have no team whatsoever. Shocker, I burned out. And
Yeah,
so
right.
like part of this is like, I had to learn that skill set of being a leader and expanding my capacity to hold a team and grow and expand and, do the work that we do as
Yes.
entrepreneurs.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. So something that you said, I think is worth pausing for as
Okay,
well.
let's
I
do it.
think that we talked about success as it related to being the person that has the big launches and all the things. But
Yeah.
really what success is being the person that can hold it.
Yes.
And that's where you shifted. That's where I've shifted. That's where we help our clients shift is
Yes.
that it doesn't have to be an either or.
Mm-hmm.
I get to be successful and calm and empowered. And
Yes.
I remember, one of my mentors, one of my coaches once asked us on a group call. She said, "Would you rather have enlightenment or $20 million?"
Mm.
And I remember thinking about that. Like, that's such an interesting question. I wonder why
Yeah.
she asked that. And then I grew in my own journey in my spiritual awakening, and I'm like, I would rather have the enlightenment, because the money, if it's supposed to be there, will come as a side effect.
Yes.
And that's the difference, you guys, is that who you
Yes.
get to be
Yeah.
is the foundation of the success that you get to experience.
Yes.
And when you realize that you don't have to choose one or the other, that you can have both, like, I have goosebumps right now
Mm.
because our life changes, doesn't it?
For sure. For
And it's
sure.
possible. So I would love for you to let's shift gears and let
Yeah.
people glean from your wisdom. Like, give
Mm.
us the best nuggets that have really taken you from who you were to who you are now, and ways that you help people do the same.
Yeah. Well, I think what you just shared there is so important. It's something that I'm not surprised that you and I are in the same wavelength, because it's the same thing that I say to my clients, which is like, yes, learning like business strategies are important. Like, if you don't know anything, definitely learn like the basics of like marketing and launching. I'm not saying don't learn those
Right.
things. It's a great
Right.
skill to have.
Yes.
But I always say, I'm like, success is a byproduct of the work that we do, right? Focusing on enlightenment, essentially. Like, how do I feel good in the process? How do I build my body to literally hold more? How do I train my body that more money is not a threat? How do I train my body that more visibility is not a threat? And in that process, success tends to just follow it. Like, we don't have to try to be successful. We don't have to like try to hit these big numbers. We have built the nervous system, the body, the energy, the aura, whatever term you want to throw in there. We've built it so it's holding this higher frequency. And when you're in a higher frequency, you tracked in, like, this law of attraction. We just attract in higher level opportunities and things of that nature. And so I think that that's super important to focus on, is if we're chasing it, it's going to run away from us. Like, if we are
Yes.
acting as if we don't already have it and it's not already our birthright to have it, it's going to go the other way. But when we focus more on how can I feel when the spotlight is on me,
Mhm.
can I feel good in that? Can I allow more of that? Can I hold it? Because some people will get themselves all amped up and
Mhm.
like do the story or launch the reel, and then you don't see them for a couple of weeks because like they burnt out, they couldn't hold the energy, or people go viral, and then all of the stuff, all the trolls come out, and then they ghost their social media because they couldn't hold it. And I can say, going from having like, let's say 100 people register for a webinar to now having thousands of people register, like, I had to build the body to hold the thousands of people for the webinar. If it happened any sooner, it would have rocked me. Like, old me that wanted the thousands was not fucking ready for the thousands. Like,
Right,
she
right,
would
like,
not have been able to
you would have
hold
freaked
it.
out if you would have
Yes,
had that, and you would have been like, ready to get started, and like, I can't do this. What do I know? Like, all of
yes.
the self-talk that comes in,
Imposter
the
syndrome.
imposter syndrome is real, right? And so
Yes.
so tell us what you would suggest people do in order to start training your body to
Yeah.
hold those things, because I see the same thing. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important. And I think part of it too is like, don't go from 0 to 90. Like, we hear
Yes.
about with like the sexy like quantum shift moment or quantum leap or whatever it might be. And like, yes, I'm here for it. If you want to collapse timelines, for sure, but like, you better make sure that your body and nervous system could hold it, because all you're going to do then is quantum shift and then collapse and burn
Yes.
out and wreak havoc in your nervous system. So we got to make sure that the body can hold it. So rather than going from, I want to have, if you're making no money right now and you want to make 100K a month, that might be pretty big on your nervous system to handle. And you might not even believe that you can do it, right? It's like the
Right.
body and your mind might not even believe. So part of this is like, what is the next thing that you can reach toward and start to train your body that it is safe to hold it? I always say 1% every day. I'd rather you do 1% every day. So by the end of the year, we're at 365%, versus you blow up and you have like a 50% increase and then you're done. And then we don't hear from you and then you deplete. So 1% every day, practice being seen more. See how it feels in your body. Talk to your body. Where is the tightness? Where are you noticing that maybe you're even not in your posture, that you're starting to collapse? You're starting to drop your eye gaze. I just had a mastermind call with some of my students, and I had everyone look at her when she was talking about her launch plan, because you could see she was good, she was excited, and then you could see right when she started to speak about the edge, she started moving around a little bit in the Zoom. She started to like look down. The body doesn't lie. Like the body is like the original Morse code. Like it's going to give us this like cryptic information that we can decipher. We all could see the second that her body found its edge. She
Mhm.
couldn't see it because she was so caught up in it, but we could see it. And so part of this is being aware of your body. I speak about it through the lens of we have a baseline. This is what we operate as. This is how we function. This is our normal patterning. Then we have an edge where like that baseline is starting to grow, and it's like the edge is like, I know I can do it, but it's really scary. And then we have like a ceiling, which is, I want that, but it's so far out of reach. And so rather than going straight for the ceiling,
Yes.
find your edge and see if you can hold it. Consistency is so key, because consistency is going to create a new repetition, a new rhythm in your nervous system. Very similar to going to the gym. Don't want to just go and start lifting like really powerful weights and then you're tired and never go back to the gym. We want to just start going and looking at that opportunity, looking at that Instagram story, that real, whatever it might be for you. This is like very entrepreneurial talk. So
Yeah.
whatever that thing is for you, try to just do it consistently, small, 1% every single day, and that will start to retrain the nervous system. What's really cool is your baseline of where you operate right now, it was trained, which means it can be untrained. Like the nervous system is flexible. The neural pathways, the brain are flexible. They can be retrained and reprogrammed. We just have to do it. Like
Yes.
we've been the magic wand this whole time,
Yes.
but we just have to know that we're the magic wand and we can change. And so that there's that. And then for me, the work that I do is I use just specific movements that target specific areas of the body that help the body to essentially collapse that timeline faster. So the body holds emotions in various areas of the body. So it's like fear is in a certain area of the body, overwhelm is in a certain area of the body. So if that's the emotion that you feel, let's say when the spotlight's on you, we can find where it is in the body and literally target that area so it repatterns. So first we want to just have awareness, like what is my edge, how am I feeling, how can I do this 1% every single day. And then if we want to add in somatic movement to it, that just helps that rewiring process happen that much faster.
So let's kind of make this even more simple for people who are like, you guys are using terms like nervous system, and
Yeah.
I am not quite sure what you mean. So I'm gonna use an example of somebody that I talked to just recently,
Yep.
and I want you to kind of give us a play by play of what's going on in their body and how they
Yep.
might be feeling. So this person was super excited about a new price increase that they just had.
Hmm.
And they came to me and they're like, LaChelle, I just had a sales call and I stumbled
Mm.
over when they said, well, how much is it? And she's like,
Hmm.
I know that I did such a great job up until the point where she asked me about the price. And I started feeling blah, blah, blah. And so I just like, let's use this really common example because you and I
Yes.
both know, right, that if we, for example, were able to charge what we're worth, we would be able to serve less clients. Therefore, we would
Yeah.
have a more realistic work life balance and all the things
Yeah.
like this is a linchpin decision that so many
Yes.
people hold themselves back from having.
Yeah.
And then they finally get brave enough to make the decision and they're collapsing under the pressure of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. If this is you, no, this is normal. We all
Yes.
go through it and we all have levels. This is a great example of like baseline to edge. And so
Yes.
it's normal to feel excited when you're fine. Like, I just want to celebrate first the people that are like, yes, I landed on my new price. Like, just to even get there is awesome and
Yes.
huge. And what's happening right there in that moment is the nervous system just has not been trained yet to say and hold that number, right? The nervous system needs to have repetition. It needs to be shown that things are safe. It needs to be shown that you can do it. So the fact that you even attempted it, I think is just great. Like, let's just honor that moment, not be like, you messed up. Oh my gosh, you stumbled over it.
Yeah.
You did it. That was your first day doing it and trying it out. Great. But what I would be more curious about after that is What was her thoughts going into it? What were her thoughts before she shared the price? What was her own body language? Because the body, again, has all these hidden signals. So we would need to look at her posture, her eye gaze, her mindset, and that is going to inform us of the current trait and state of the nervous system. The way I see the nervous system is the nervous system and the meridian system from Chinese medicine, because they're very similar to one another, but Chinese medicine will tell us exactly like what is the story, what is the pattern that the nervous system is running, and how did it get there, and where does it live in the body? Because we could tell this person, it's okay, you can do this next time, take a breath, practice it. That's not actually going to do any real rewiring. That's just having her regulate. And so my work is, how do we shift from regulation to rewiring? So for this person, again, I'd want to know, what was the exact story that you were thinking about before you said the price? What was your own body language? Because that is going to give us insight as to what's happening in your specific body and nervous system. And then we would do some work to essentially rewire it based on that information. I also would be curious about, why did they want to charge this higher price? Is there any hesitation on doing that? Like, because when we make more money, more people are afraid of success than failure.
Oh
Failure
my
is
gosh, for
easy. Like,
sure.
we know it. Like, we're gonna fail. Woo, we've done this before. But what would that newer price allow her? Like, or even, is there imposter syndrome attached to that price? Does she feel like she can fulfill that? Right? There's so much that can be unpacked when we really
Yes.
start to think about this. And so the mindset is great, but the mind, what we found through modern science, which is really cool, is like the state of the nervous system actually impacts the thoughts of the mind. And so whatever the mind is telling us often isn't truth. It's just based on the traumas that are stuck in the nervous system, and that's informing the mind. So rather than affirming your way to it of like, I can charge $20,000, or like, next time I got this, that's not addressing what's happening underneath the mind, what's happening in the body. So I would say, what is the story that came up for you right before you were about to say it? And what was their own body language? What was their body doing? Because that will give us the insight to the current state of the nervous system. And then also, what would have happened if that person said yes? Like, what would that have shifted in that person's life, in their identity, their personal life? And let's address that too. I always feel like it's mind and body, very, very similar to what you shared. It's not this or that. They've got to work together, and that's where the magic is.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is so wonderful. You guys, I hope that you're understanding how all of this stuff is tied in. And I geek out on heart brain coherence and just how much the heart and our nervous system communicates with our brain, and our brain
Yes.
cannot function cleanly. It gets stuck in static when our nervous system is all chaotic. And that's
Yes.
exactly what you're saying. And the the thing that people don't oftentimes realize, this is really fascinating to me. I talk about coherence, I talk about biofield, and how with the
Yeah.
biofield and entanglement, as well as the micro expressions and posture and all of those things, the limbic system of the recipient
Yeah.
can tell within 1/10 of a second if we are stable or if we're unstable, if we're
Yes.
trustworthy or untrustworthy. And so when we show up, even though we're saying to ourselves, I'm going to fake it till I make it, your
Yeah.
body and your biofield is literally communicating to them subconsciously without them even realizing it,
Yes.
straight off the bat. And
Yeah.
so that's why, friends, strategy alone is not going to get you where you want to go. You can learn the funnels, you can learn social media, you can learn marketing. And as she said, you have to have some baseline skill set that you
Yeah.
can build upon. But it's not what we do, it's who we are while we do it that
Yeah.
helps it to land. And that's where when we start to focus on who we're being while we do,
Yeah.
and how we want to allow for our entire being, our nervous system, our brain, the way that we carry ourselves to be transmitted in our biofield, magic is going to start happening. But it comes
Yes.
from within here, and remembering who you are at the core, and allowing for
Yes.
all those patterns of the world be stripped away to bring
Yeah.
yourself back to the capable divine goddess that you are underneath there,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love this. So good. And that's exactly what I was going to just like add on is, also what was that person picking up on without them even consciously knowing, like what were they picking up on? And this isn't meant to freak you all out and be like,
No,
I have to be
no.
perfect on a sales
Yes.
call, but
No.
it's important to know the hidden language of the body and what is it emitting, what is it putting out there, like what is your body saying that you don't like, that you're not even talking about, because you're correct, people on the other, whether it's through a Zoom or in person, they're picking up on it whether they realize it or not, and that's informing their decision on, should I invest in this
Yeah.
person or should I not?
And that's, what we're trying to say, you guys, also is that, so many times people come to me, I'm sure they come to you also, Brianna, where they're like, oh, like I've tried everything
Yes.
and nothing is working. And what
Yeah.
happens is, at least it's happened to me. So no, this is me like raising my hand, but I'm like, okay, so the strategy is supposed to work. A plus B should equal C. I'm doing all the things, I'm coachable, and it's not working. So
Yeah.
then that must mean I suck.
Yeah.
Right?
Easy math. I
I
suck.
mean, it's not like I suck. And so then therefore, right now all of a sudden I have this whole shift in who I'm being, and I'm going to start
Yeah.
showing up in a different way. And it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy because I'm going to attract that energy over and
Yes.
over again. And so people come to me, they're like, LaChelle, like I don't understand. Like I'm doing everything right, nothing is working. And it could be as simple as what Brianna is talking about, is what I'm trying to say. Like it can be as simple as shifting the
Yeah.
way your body is holding success, shifting
Yeah.
the way that you hold yourself inside,
Hmm.
and allowing your body to heal and be safe, and proving, like, one of the simplest, oh my gosh, the simplest affirmations that I share is I am safe, I am
Yes.
worthy, and I am capable. Because I promise you that every single stinking thinking negative self-talk will have some
Yeah.
association with one of those three that it can be a shield for
Yes. Yes.
it. And there's so much that have been piled on. And you and I both geek out on energy stuff. So we both know that
Yeah.
it's a lineage thing. It could be, if you guys are
For
into,
sure.
you're open to the concept of past lives, it could be from a past life. If you can at least understand that we have genetics, and energy can be passed upon down from genetics. So
Yeah.
there's layers. And then, much of our subconscious beliefs are formed before we're even 7 years old, by
Yeah.
people who are also imperfect, right? So we
Yes.
have imperfect programmers programming our system. And
Yes.
so there's nothing wrong with you. It's
Mm-mm.
literally just a matter of discovering what patterns are blocking
Yeah.
beautiful, embodied, divine, all-knowing person
Yes.
inside, and to allow her to come out and play a little bit.
Yeah. Mm. You said it, babe.
So,
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I feel like you and I could talk for an entire day. Like we probably
Just
should
thinking
talk about what we should do
that.
after this.
Yes.
But Brianna, is there anything that we haven't had a chance to discuss for people, if they're like, okay, I get it, but like, what else can I do, or what are my next steps? This feels foreign to me. I'm used to thinking my way through things. So what do you mean, my body? I don't understand.
For sure, for sure. And me too. I mean, I get that. We're taught to think up here when in reality, what we're thinking is actually coming from like literally our hearts, from our bodies. And so if we want to shift the way that we think, if that's your vibe, you're like, I get the mindset piece. Well, we now have modern science that proves that in order to actually think differently, we have to address what's happening down here. And so I think first, just like awareness is key. Just notice how your body is when you're in certain situations. When you're feeling good, what is your posture like? What is your breath like? What is your eye gaze like? When you're feeling anxious, what does that feel like for you? What are the sensations? And I think starting to create your own, I call it like your somatic dictionary, which is just like the
Mhm.
language of your body. Like, what are these sensations? What do they mean? The more that we can start doing that, the more that we can start to feel safe in our bodies. So I think that's like, we all could develop that. But two, something that I share that I notice a lot with my clients is they'll say, I want this thing. Why isn't it working? Right. It's like, I've done all the things. Why isn't it working? And what I end up sharing with them is, how are you giving the universe or God, whatever word you want to use there, how are you giving it mixed signals? Because you can say, I want this 6 figures. I want whatever it is. And then you're freaking out when someone DMs you asking you about your work. You're freaking out when an application comes through. You're ghosting your social media, but you want to have 100,000 followers. So it's like, how are we counteracting the very things that we're praying for? How are we counteracting them with our mind and our thoughts? And those are indicators that there's a pattern, there's an opportunity to rewrite it or shift our manifestations. Like if you are trying to counteract the very thing that you're praying for, why are you praying for it in the first place? Like get really clear on what you actually want. And I think that could be really helpful to bring awareness to that so we can see how we're literally like shooting it out into the universe, the big dream and desire, but then pulling it back in because we're afraid of it actually happening.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like there's so many nuggets in that. I feel like we literally could talk for like hours and hours on end. But this has been so good. I hope that you guys have gotten as much out of this as I have. And I want you to make sure that you go to the show notes, check out all of the details so that you can follow Brianna Rose and, figure out how you can work with her, all of the cool stuff, because she is literally living what she teaches. And I love the fact that you were so open with us and help us to feel like we're, not broken, that you also have had this stuff happen to you too, and that there's hope for all of us. And I love that so much. So thanks for being here. And you guys, I want to know what you loved most about this episode. So it's fun when you can share this in the stories and tag us or leave a review or just send us a message. We want to hear from you because it helps to know that this is a conversation, not just us talking at you. So thanks everybody. I hope you had a great episode just like I did, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to iam-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.